Hello, I am Paula Bennett and welcome to my New Zealand Herald podcast, Ask Me Anything. Now, one thing I've learnt in life is it's never too late to learn something new. So on this podcast, I talk to people from all walks of life to hear about how they got to where they are and get some advice and guidance on some of life's biggest questions. Today, I think we're going to get a bit philosophical on life. My guest is a very busy man. Are you ready? A producer, director. He's been a rock star in a band. He created and starred in stunt TV show Back of the Y and the film The Devil Made Me Do It. He's a founding member and commentator for the ACC, a breakfast radio host on Hodaki, a columnist and now an author. Matt Heath is with me to talk about his new book, A Life Less Punishing, and it hits the bookshelves this week.
Hello, thank you for having me.
How was that for an intro?
That's not bad, actually. I have done a couple of things here and there.
Yeah, you have done a few. Housekeeping, you ready?
Yes.
Okay, 2 rules. I am allowed to ask you anything.
Yeah. Okay.
You can't come on a podcast called Ask Me Anything and then not expect to be asked anything.
No, you go for it.
But I always say you don't have to answer. And
okay.
Yeah, because
I'll just go silent.
It is
Yeah.
You do radio. You know the QA.
Yeah, no, I can't handle, because I do commercial radio, I can't handle a second of dead air.
Yeah.
Drives me crazy.
That's quite good. We call it the no judgy zone.
Yeah.
And goodness knows I've read the book, you've done a lot.
Yeah.
That you could be judged on.
Yeah.
So it's probably quite wise to,
and that's only the things that fit the chapters that I was writing as well,
Okay, quick fire questions to warm us up.
Yep.
Who are you inviting to the dinner party?
Okay, so I've been thinking about Willie Apiata.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'd love to, and I wrote a bit about him in the book.
Strong, silent.
Yeah, and keep me in line. Lisa Carrington. Love
lovely.
Lisa Carrington. And she's got a dog. Her dog's called Colin and my dog's called Colin, so we could bond about that.
You could have Colin and Colin.
Yeah, Colin and Colin. And potentially Peter Jackson.
Yep.
Yep, I'd like to talk. Maybe.
Yeah, interesting,
Yeah,
what he's done and how he's done it.
It'd be great. And like if any of those 3 original Lord of the Rings movies come on TV anywhere at all, I watched then.
What are you going to cook for them?
I am a huge fan of a camp nachos. You know, like nachos that are made beans,
hearty.
Like not a gourmet. It's just like baked beans, not chili beans. A lot of cheese, a lot of onion in there.
I put baked beans in mine too.
Yeah. So like the big old camp nachos.
Nice.
I love them. It's my favourite thing.
Oh yeah, I like that.
And bulky.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I love that. Okay, we're going to chat about your book and the advice that actually comes from the book, because there's a lot of good advice in there. But we're going to do that in the second half. First, we're going to get to know you a bit better. So, I mean, that was a big introduction,
yes.
Of a lot of things.
Yes.
Are they mainly, though, in that kind of creative? Is that where it has been?
You also missed my animation company, Vinewood Motion Graphics.
Oh, I am going to talk about it later, but you are right, eh? That's another whole other level.
Oh, that's ridiculous to bring that up. It is all kind of variations on the same thing, really, that I do. There's not much.
And in New Zealand, you kind of have to, don't you?
Yeah.
In your industry?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was thinking about this the other day. That a lot of the stuff I do is just being moved from one microphone to another.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing. The location is always a microphone in front of me.
Yeah.
Except for when I was writing the book, there wasn't a microphone in front of me sometimes.
And the column?
Yep.
Your column got me in trouble once.
That's right. You wrote a really nice column when I was talking about tipping. And you
remember? I wasn't sure you would.
And you said some nice stuff about it. And then
they piled in.
Yeah, I didn't quite get the pile in on that one, because it was like they were saying, no, just pay a proper wage.
Yeah, they really piled in, and that's kind of life. That didn't worry me at all, because I'm a politician then, and you're going to be controversial. People will agree, disagree, and everyone's entitled to. That's fine. What I was thinking, and we are going to talk about some of this stuff, and there's not so much this, but I felt slightly humiliated, which you talk about humiliation, because what then actually happened was a whole lot. I don't mean like 2 or 3. I mean dozens of people went out and gave their experiences of serving me in restaurants and bars. And that was humiliating. So most of them were some of them were really nice, and then others were like, she's got a horrible laugh when she's drinking with her friends. At the end of the lunch, they drank 4 bottles.
Yeah.
And it was just humiliating because I'm like, so people are literally sitting there judging me while I'm having
Well, you're a
time
well-known
out.
person. I was reading this thing from this that was saying, there's a guy called Professor Scott Galloway, and he did this sort of study, and I actually interviewed him in the book on a different topic, but he was saying that if someone notices you and you notice them, there's 49 other people that have noticed you roughly. So, like you're sitting there and someone might go, oh, Paula, but then there's another 49 going, taking notes, taking mental notes of what you're up to. And then
third glass of wine.
And then reporting back to their family and friends and having a little word in the kitchen.
Yeah, well, that was my tipping experience on the back of your column that I quite liked.
Well, thanks for the support. I didn't take any hits at all for it. I got one compliment from you, and then the whole focus went to you, and then I went on with my life.
Someone actually recently wanted to do a whole column on a whole big sort of investigative journalism almost on tipping and the benefits and not the sort of thing. And they contacted me and said, would I do it? And I went, I'm not kidding. It was actually one of the most traumatising, humiliating. Out of all the shit I've done, and I've done a lot of silly things, I don't know why that one really resonated.
Because I did a terrible thing to your one of your good friends, Simon Bridges, when I asked him if he hated the baby on our radio show when Jacinda had her baby, and just as a dumb joke, and then he answered kind of in a funny way, and then he got brutalised for it, and no one admitted it was a joke. It was clearly he was making a joke, but everyone willfully pretended that he hadn't made a joke.
Yeah.
It was like against swimming upstream to pretend that he hadn't clearly made a joke.
The pile on, It's just quite something. Okay, so you're the guy that studied a BA in anthropology and philosophy.
Yeah, that's correct.
But then you end up in the entertainment industry.
Yeah. I'm not really sure how that happened. I think what happened was when I was at university, I played, in high school, we shot a lot of skate videos, stunt skate videos and stuff. And then they started becoming skits, and then those skits got popular. And then we moved to Auckland, and I started, there was a community television channel called Triangle up here, and we did a bit of a Wayne's World. So we started making our own show up here with stunts in it and interviewing each other with a tripod in the lounge, and then that got popular, and then TVNZ gave me a TV show. So that's the way it happened. Yeah. And
that's kind of cool, right? Organic.
Yeah, it was
right place, right time.
Yeah, it was
moment.
So much luck.
Yeah.
It was all the way through was luck.
Yeah, I love that. Deja Voodoo, singer and guitarist.
Yes.
Is it true that former Finance Minister Grant Robertson was your manager?
Yeah, he was, and I still owe him $200.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought he'd want that.
The 200 he does. Every time I see him, he brings it up.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But I got he sent me a picture of the form he used to send out to high schools for us to play at high schools, because we were teenagers, so we played at high schools, and it'd be like, Kid Eternity, blah, blah, blah. So that was my band before Deja Voodoo. It was called Kid Eternity. And we'd play in high schools, and he'd write out and go this and contact here and collect calls accepted and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. He's a good guy, a really good guy. You almost wouldn't be paying him back now out of just the glory of it, wouldn't you?
Yeah, no, I'm not paying him back,
I wouldn't.
No, I wouldn't pay him back, I mean, at that time, he was only paying us in beer when we played our gigs half the time, So.
Yeah, so really. Do you still sing and play guitar?
Just annoying my kids on the couch at home, like they'll be like trying to watch something, and I've got the guitar and I'm playing away, and they're like, shut up.
And now I do want to talk about Vinewood Animation Studios, because I have no idea what it does.
We make kids' TV shows.
Oh, cool.
And ads and stuff.
Yeah.
So we've got 3 seasons of Welcome to Cardboard City that are out at the moment that you can watch on TVNZ Plus, and 2 seasons of Goodbye AI, which is another kids show, and then lots.
What sort of age group are you catering to?
That's 8 to 12-year-olds.
That's a neat age.
Yeah, it is a neat age. It's funny how tight it is, that 8 to 12. I mean, it's hard to hit them, because 8 to 12-year-olds actually want to watch the stuff that 16-year-olds are watching,
Yeah. Okay, there's one thing before we get into the second half where we're going to get the advice thing. I'm easily irritated, but I try and blame menopause, but I think it's just that I'm older and a bit craggier. But I am working on that now. But you irritated me because I love the Kiwi self-deprecating, but you did it quite a few times, and I want you to sit there now and say, Paula Bennett, I am a writer. I am an author. I am a writer. I am published.
Well, I am now. When I was writing it, I wasn't, although I did have a book deal.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to put in the book was that, because if you're writing a book which is ostensibly self-help, which I just wanted to release the valve a little bit on that and say, look, this is just me writing. It's not the truth of the world, and I'm not a neuroscientist and I'm not a historian and I'm not, I do have a philosophy degree, but BA, what does that mean? Can't even remember anything from it. So I guess at the start of the book, I did want to sort of, not come in like I was the final word on all the stuff.
It's your perspective, right?
Yeah,
and it's your truth, as they say, which is...
Yeah, it's my sort of experience on it. I've done a lot of research, talked to a lot of great people all around the world, but in the end, I get annoyed. So I might have over-egged it. I get annoyed with people that are an authority, that come in and say they're an authority on a subject.
Okay.
And if they're not.
Because it wasn't the only time but there's just a couple of little bits, and I just went, I get because do we do that too much as Kiwis as well, where we, humble, the Sir Hillary just knocked it off, where we can't kind of go, oh yeah, I just conquered the biggest mountain in the world on the first time, and I sometimes... I worry about women who do that a lot, and so I think our girls are capturing that back, stand up proudly, you are.
Yeah, no, well, that is interesting, but I guess it is a way, and it is also a way to let yourself off the hook a little bit. So you're right. Fair criticism.
Okay, but I'm not really criticising. I'm just saying.
But fair, because I do think that there's a bit of a problem with New Zealanders. Because someone said to me, like when I wrote the book, it goes, "What makes you think you can write this book?" And then I was like, "Well, I'm not really saying anything. I'm just writing a book." I am saying stuff, but the idea that you shouldn't is kind of a New Zealand idea.
Yeah.
Like an American writing this book wouldn't be like, do I have to justify writing? They're like, no, I'm writing a freaking book.
Exactly.
I'm writing a freaking book.
I'm allowed to give advice as well. So my advice to you is I want a bit more swagger.
Okay, a bit more swagger, yeah.
And when you've got it and Jeremy or someone gives you a bit of stick for it, you can just go...
Yeah, well, don't say that to my girlfriend. She wouldn't want me to have any more swagger.
Yeah.
She'd be like, she wants me to swagger less.
Ah, well.
Yeah.
That kind of happens as well, right?
She probably wants to knock me off my perch.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Let's talk about how you got to writing the book, though. And you do talk about some pretty dark experiences, really,
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about being drunk on the, sitting by the lake. You talk about, the death of your mother, sort of the alcohol, the divorce, that, and we all have stuff going on in our lives, right?
Yeah.
And was it that got to you to a point where you were like, I need to take a step back and actually look at it all?
Well, it was a couple of things because, the reason why I call it life less punishing, which is a play in that's saying a life less ordinary, and we're always told that our lives need to be fantastic, we need to do all these incredible things. But when you're doing incredible things and you're still not enjoying your life, you realise that there's no hope because you're like, when I started the bit in the lake, I'm like, I'm down with some friends, I'm in Queenstown, I'm running this thing, and my life's going quite well, my kids are healthy, everything's good, and I'm still unhappy. And I was like, well, that's because I'm not appreciating what I've got, and bad stuff's always coming. Like, bad stuff's always coming for everyone. That's why it's just wait a couple of days, and if things are good, something bad will happen. Wait a couple of years, terrible things. 10 years, it's incredible what will happen. So it seems disrespectful for the people that are going through bad stuff for you not to enjoy the times when it's possible to enjoy, the life you've got, But it's also, you're going to look back and go, I had it good then.
Yeah.
I've got all these things I can do. I can drive a car. I can, even just little things. I can walk down to a lake to feel sorry for myself. And then all of my friends that I was away on that run with, terrible things happened to them, even after I thought this, after that. So it was like a realization that, I was miserable, but I had no reason to be.
And you kind of give another example in the book as well of being, a film, and the film's going around the world, and you're sitting in the audience and you're almost sabotaging yourself. Yeah,
we booed our own movie.
Yeah.
That was in the chapter on dissatisfaction. And I just sort of point out, if you can be dissatisfied on a, 5-star luxury tour of the world promoting a movie that, you wrote and starred in, then you're going to be dissatisfied everywhere.
Yeah.
But I think that's the thing. I think humans, because we think that we're designed to be happy. We're actually designed to be dissatisfied. That's our natural state, because the animal that was, the human that was satisfied on the savannah got eaten by a tiger 30 seconds later. So we're the one that sat there and went, I'm not happy here, I'm climbing a tree, or I'm going over there, I'm going to build a fence or whatever. That was the one that survived. So we've inherited dissatisfaction. So no matter how good things will get, unless we work how to deal with it, we'll be dissatisfied with it. So,
And so the experiences that you've gone through that you write about and more of the philosophical ones, is that a search for happiness?
I think it's a search for, because I think happiness comes and goes. It's fleeting. Like, you can't have happiness all the time, because if you do, then your brain will make you unhappy, because there's always an equal and opposite reaction. Your brain's trying to reach homeostasis. So I think what you're looking for is to be able to deal with your life. That's why I've called it life less punishing. You just want your life, you're feeling humiliated. You want to be able to deal with that, so it's not all encompassing. If you're stressed, you want to deal with it. It's not about being happy. It's about being more tranquil. You'll never be tranquil, but it's just being more just not like extreme ups and downs that we have. And it's like people can score a goal and win the World Cup and then be unhappy the next day. I mean, that happiness comes, and it's almost, as I say, like, there's a bit I write in about the pleasure and pain parts of the brains being co-located. So if you experience a lot of happy, your brain's going to give you a lot of unhappy to get you back to normal.
I almost get grumpy about the sort of search for happiness, if you like. I know that's... Yeah. But, it's kind of like that, are you happy? I don't know, some days.
Yeah, some days.
Some hours.
You would be a very, very weird person if you were happy all the time.
Yeah.
That would take drugs.
Yeah.
And I think I talk about the happiness machine.
Yeah.
That idea that if you were just plugged in and you were always happy all the time, because you could do that. And so you're just buzzing with all the love, happiness, contentedness, full, everything. That seems like a nightmare to us.
It just seems exhausting.
Yeah, I'm so happy.
Yeah. No, that seems absolutely exhausting. Talk me through hosting a radio show drunk.
Yeah,
that seemed like quite a big 24 hours.
Yeah. Like a lot of my biggest humiliations in life have been alcohol related, which is probably not abnormal, but that was one night, and I'd actually just ironically compared to the behaviour I lent into, won a Best Kids TV show at the New Zealand Television Awards, and then just got absolutely ripped.
Yeah.
And then over-celebrated, turned a victory into a loss, punished Hilary Barry and her husband at this party.
She would have forgiven you.
Oh, she forgave me straight away.
She would, yeah.
In fact, she said she didn't even notice. But anyway, she was probably she's used to ignoring idiots. And then all out all night, and then went in and did my radio show, and then broadcast absolutely steamed on air for 3 hours.
Wow.
And then got confused when my boss said, you can't come and commentate cricket for the day. And it was not cool, because it's one thing being embarrassing in front of your friends. It's another thing broadcasting to, tens and tens of thousands of people, and it's recorded. And then, that was a big humiliation, that one for me. And it took me a while to... that was the kind of thing that I needed to work out how to do, because humiliation, right, and that's sort of what I wrote in the book, is you can't live in the past. Like, the past isn't a realm you live in, so you can't do anything about what you've done. But all you can do is learn from it and then turn it into a positive going forward. So then as soon as you decide to learn from from humiliation, something you've done wrong, when you haven't lived up to the standards you want, then that quickly becomes a positive, because it can be that thing where you go, well, that's why I don't do that anymore, because that was bloody stupid, but I'm not going to hate myself for it. I'm just going to be better.
I want to explore that a lot more, so we're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back and talk more about some of those experiences and the lessons that we can learn, and get some advice from you. Matt Heath is my guest, and his new book, A Life Less Punishing, 13 Ways to Love the Life You've Got. And that's our focus in the second half. And so before we took the break, Matt, we were talking a bit about humiliation, and we've all had it, right? I mean, we could all give a million examples. But it is, and I think some of it comes with age, some of it comes with all of the research that you've done and talking to so many experienced people. But, it is, how do we actually shake it off and stop it going through our head all night?
Yeah.
So that it's, like I've had times where I've gone, okay, I'm on day 2.
Yeah.
I remember ringing someone I knew well enough, but not that well. And I went, it's Monday morning and I'm still thinking about what I did on Friday night. And I was a dick. And I actually just need to say that so that I can move on.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing I talk about, the owning the narrative. Because there's a weird thing with shame where if people laugh at you, you feel shame. But if you laugh at yourself, it kind of destroys the shame. So if you own that and you go to the people and you have a laugh about it, that helps. And the other thing I reckon is really important to remember is no one cares about it as much as you do. In fact, there's a good chance at the point when you're beating yourself up at something, you're the only person thinking about it in the whole world. And even if other people are thinking about it, they're thinking about it less than you are because you watch the situation out your eyes. You've heard of the spotlight effect, haven't you?
Yeah.
Everyone thinks everyone's thinking about you, but everyone's just thinking about themselves. Everyone's just walking around thinking about themselves, and they might not even notice that you've humiliated yourself in front of them. So that's a good one. And the other thing I think is just the time thing. You go, well, how you shift the time. I talked to that neuroscientist called Ethan Kross, and that's what he talks a lot about. He talks about that chatter in your head.
Yeah.
And he claims there's been studies where that chatter can go at 4,000 words a minute.
Wow.
It can go at you that hard, going chatter.
Yeah.
And it's not, the weird thing is he calls it the inner asshole. Like, why is your inner voice not always your friend? It's a very odd thing that we have a voice in our head that isn't on our side. In fact, it's the person that niggles us the most. And it goes back to that thing before where it's like we're evolved to keep moving and changing things and question. We're not evolved to be happy as it were. So he suggests, you give it a name. You get it to use your name because we're much better at giving advice to other people than we're
like
ourselves.
that bit in the book. Yeah.
So you go, Paula, no one's going to remember this in 2 days.
Yeah.
Just don't worry about it. Paula, you're fine now. You're in bed. You're warm. 2 weeks from now, this is going to be nothing. But if you, because we're great at giving advice to other people, but terrible at giving advice to ourselves.
Yeah.
But we can add that name to it. Add our name, and suddenly we start nurturing ourselves instead of trying to destroy ourselves. But yeah, when that chatter's going.
How are your children teenagers? Or are they being, when I was reading that, but I just started laughing because when mine were I just remember, one of them coming home and she'd been out driving and her father's bloody 4-wheel drive, and she goes, and everyone was looking at me and everyone was thinking this and everyone was thinking that. And I just looked at her and went, I don't think there would have been one person. Because teenagers are over, right, I mean, they're more sensitive.
They've done a study where they put 11-year-olds in a window and they pull the curtain down and they think it's funny, like it was a shop window with people walking past. They put 11-year-old in there and they pull the curtain down. The 11-year-old's like, fine. They put a 13-year-old in there and it's torture. They can't stand to be being seen for a period. Shame. And I think it's something to do with the transition to being about your family, about other people looking out. And then you reach a certain age when you're becoming an adult and it becomes about you and your social status. Your social status isn't about the family, it's about you striking your way, and then you're very scared of any losses in social standing.
Yeah.
So that's why
Mike Chun does a wonderful thing on that with music.
Oh, yeah.
And he just kind of goes, listen to those 3-year-olds in the back, in the car, making up songs and singing their little hearts out, and then shame starts coming in, and how's it looking at me? And
when you see those videos of your kids just and then you see them But I remember my sisters used to be dropped off at school like 2 kilometres from the school because they didn't want to be dropped off with sheep, because my dad would drop us off and there'd be like sheep or something in the trailer. Yeah. And they'd be like, they were willing to walk I didn't mind because sheep was obviously not in my humiliation range. I thought that was fine. But like, I remember my sisters being dropped off and they're like, you can't drop me off at school like that, Dad. I can't be seen with the sheep.
Yeah.
And I was like,
but there is, and you also talk about it and putting it, I know I'm going on the, sort of humiliation thing, but I think, we all feel a degree of shame, or we all make mistakes, and we all have some sort of, and some of them are big and some of them are smaller, but, I made a mistake. She hadn't been Prime Minister for long with Jacinda Ardern. I did a stupid tweet and it just went off and everyone was laying into me, and I looked at it and went, oh, yeah, that was stupid of me. You know what I mean? It was just dumb. Yeah. And it was said wrong and it was unnecessary and all the rest of it. And of course, it just kind of, because of my life, it kept going. Yeah. And 3 days later, my brother rang me and he just went, what the hell are you doing? And I went to him, it was a tweet.
Yeah.
Like, it was a mistake, but can we also put it in perspective?
Yeah.
I haven't hurt anyone. I'm not physically out here. Yeah.
But also, I guess if they see you bleed as well, then that jumps on board. That's why apologies are quite risky these days, because apology just keeps it burning. I mean, the aim there is to forgive yourself and then go, I'm going to learn from
I
this.
actually took punishment. I actually almost took the whipping.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't quite enjoy it, but I was just like, well, actually, it's deserved.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whereas other times...
Like the albino and the Da Vinci Code.
Yeah, something like that. I am bad. Okay, I've got a big question, because you do say at the front of the book that, and I don't think we need to go into the description, because I really genuinely think people should read your book, but are you Les? Are you?
There were a lot of names that had to be changed in the book for legal reasons. And one version of the book was Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in one version, the name's Liz. And look, there's a lot of stories about people in my book. Some of them are me, some of them aren't.
That's what you say at the beginning. you were like, I may or may not,
That's a little Easter egg, that one.
Oh, man.
A little Easter egg, that one.
People just have to go, because we do not have time to really go into it, but there is couch pooing. That's all I'm going to say. That's the teaser.
Let's just say one of my nicknames on the radio show that for my listeners, some people call me Leslie.
Okay.
Let's just say that, but that might not be related.
Might not be.
Because
it might be.
There's a rumour if you go to like my Wikipedia, it calls me Matthew Leslie Heath.
There you go.
But who knows? Like, it's just, no one will ever know for sure.
Well, what I do...
Except for the people that were there.
I was going to say, there's no people there. What I will say, though, is that since reading that, any little mistake, or even at work this morning, and someone did say, it was the other night, and someone spilt wine, and she was mortally embarrassed, and I went, you didn't do a Leslie. They had no idea what I was talking about.
Yeah, well, that's kind of the idea. And humiliation as well, it's not bad to focus on someone that's humiliated themselves more and put your humiliation in perspective.
Yeah. I'm not going to go through it all because there's 13 different kind of things. But tell me about how you kind of went down the rabbit hole, how you then researched more, and then why you chose, because you chose loneliness and we said humiliation. By the way, I do want to go. Now I'm leaping. I loved with loneliness, it's not the same as aloneness.
Yes.
You spoke to someone about that, that like sales by themselves.
Yeah. Andrew Fagan. Yeah, so he was pointing out the difference. Like, some of us think 40 days out on a boat by ourselves is a pure hell, but he likes it. Yeah, and that's exactly what he said, wasn't it?
And I loved it because when I sort of went to read that chapter, I was like, I don't really feel loneliness, to be honest. In fact, I crave alone.
Yeah.
Crave it because I'm an extra intra, right? I'm the classic, you know.
Yeah.
And so I was like, but then I really loved the way he kind of said there's sort of different elements of it,
Yeah.
Loneliness and it's quite different from being alone.
Yes.
And depending on yourself.
Yeah, it is. And also you can be surrounded by people and be lonely as well.
Yeah.
You know, Carl Jung has that quote about it. I mean, you need to not feel loneliness. You need to be able to trust and communicate with other people. You could be lost in a crowd is a famous thing. So some people are not lonely sitting in a cave by themselves for 3 months.
Yeah.
You know? And some people are lonely if they're
in Times Square. Yeah,
exactly. So
watching other people live.
But loneliness is like all the emotions that I talk about in the book. It's just we're evolved in this interesting way, and the survival advantages of human being together are so huge. I mean, if you put a human in the bush by themselves, they die. If you put 10 humans and together they're an apex predator, you know, and the advantages, and of course, you know, pregnancy and our babies don't fully grow up till they're not really useful for such a long time. So the community has to look after each other. Yeah, they hold you back. You know, you're trying to fight a saber-toothed tiger with 2 babies on your hip.
It's not easy.
It's not easy.
No.
So, but much easier if you've got some people around you. So we evolved to feel being away from other humans. Similar to hunger, you know, it's so important to us, and especially when you're little. You know, when kids hate going up to their room because it's not natural for them not to be around the fire with their family.
Wow. So are we so much more socially disconnected these days?
Yeah, I think we are, and I think obviously social media is just a horrible, hollow, fake version of it. It sort of fires off that desire. It feeds on that desire for community and socializing, but it doesn't give you any of what it does. All it gives you is FOMO, basically.
Yeah.
So you desire contact, and you get FOMO in return from social media. So I think that. I mean, there was a whole bit in the book that I cut out because it was getting too long. But it was about I was in my room in my house, and you know my kids went there. So there's 3 stories of my house. I'm in there by myself. There's a fence around it, you know. Yeah. And if I want to see anyone, I'm going to have to reach out with my phone and travel. And it's like, that would be so horrible for our ancestors. They'd be like, what are you fricking doing by yourself in here? Get some more people around you. Where's your whānau?
Yeah,
what are you doing?
How are you going to survive? Yeah.
Yeah.
You could die in there.
Yeah.
Which
It's just
you
so.
wouldn't, but you would have then.
But it's so unnatural, and then you're sitting by yourself in this house going, "Oh, look, my friends went. Someone's anniversary, and they're at the beach."
How did you choose the 13?
That was completely random. They were just ones
Yeah.
that when I thought of the things I had, I went through them and thought them, because there's two more I didn't do: jealousy and guilt.
Yeah.
That I don't experience a lot of jealousy, so that one didn't work for me. And I thought I've probably got a bit of guilt, but I think that was sort of worked out and that was sort of weaved through them.
Yeah.
So they were the ones that really hit me. But I reckon you could write a whole book on jealousy.
Yeah.
I think jealousy across relationships, across different people, like the grass is greener things, bit of a trap for humans. But yeah, so they were the ones that meant the most for me, and also that I had the most luck researching. The things that resonated, the solutions resonated with me, because there was a lot of stuff that I read and tried. I mean, most of it I thought, this is rubbish and doesn't work.
Oh, really? With the anger was interesting as well, and I enjoyed reading that, and it calmed me down, so you'd be pleased to know it took it on board.
Good.
Yeah, and so, but with that as well, I just sort of thought you give some really great examples, but for anger's only one example, and I think it was probably most of them. Part of what I got from you is that you can actually sit back and see it from someone else's perspective and through their eyes.
Yeah.
The guy that's irritating you at your kid's sports game.
Yes.
All of these different kind of examples that you gave, and it is that ability to kind of take a breath, sit back.
Yeah.
And see it perhaps from a different perspective.
Well, I think with anger is really interesting, because I used to have big anger problems. And then after reading all the best philosophy that I could find on it and talking to neuroscientists, it all came back down to what my mum used to do to me when I was a kid, which was go, Matthew, okay, take a breath, calm down. Like, she'd hold my hands, look in my eye and goes, take a breath. And then after about a few breaths, I just wasn't angry anymore, could hardly remember what it was.
Yeah.
And right up through to neuroscience, they said it's just like taking that breath to allow, because your primitive part of your brain kicks in, like the amygdala just fires off, and it's just territorial, fight, and it takes over from your prefrontal cortex and the planning part of your brain. You just need to take, and that goes offline so easy. It's the weakest part of our brain, the newest part of the brain.
Yeah.
And so that goes offline. But if you can fight enough to just have a breath and then bring that reasoning part back online, then you're much more likely to make a good decision. You never make good decisions in anger.
But isn't it also, though, and I used to give this example in that, I walk into a shop and I have an argument with someone over something, and I honestly, and I've always kind of done it, I'd think, well, God, they're having a bad day.
Yeah.
And then and then everyone thinks that my daughter and I are identical, but my daughter would have the same experience, and she'd come out and go, oh, they don't like me.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, that was about me.
Yeah, but I guess if you manage to get the reasoning part in your brain, you can think about other people, you can empathise. Yeah, and I see what you're saying about the empathy. Yeah, but that's really interesting. So, yeah.
Yeah, that was
and it's not true. Like, that's the thing, because we assume our emotions are true.
Yeah.
Like we assume because we feel like that person didn't like us because we feel like that. But that's not necessarily true. You don't know.
Well, you don't know.
You don't know.
And they might not have liked me. I just thought they were having a bad day.
Yeah. One of the best things that I learned is Hanlon's theorem, I think it's called, where it's like, I'll get the quote wrong, but it's never assume malice when incompetence is as likely a solution. Sometimes you're like booking into a hotel and you go, this person's out to get me. And you go, oh no, they're incompetent. And then they're not malicious, they're not trying to ruin my life, they're not doing this on purpose, they're just useless.
Yeah.
And then you can feel sorry for them. And then you can just handle the half an hour when they...
And equally, like what I hope we were all taught as well, is that you don't know what's happening and going on in someone else's life. So they might act irrationally or incompetently.
You've got no idea what's going on.
You've got no idea what's going on behind there. And sometimes it's just a lot, right? And
that's like road rage. I think I wrote what Sam Harris wrote about that, neuroscientist, and he just said it's very hard, to... When you look at someone and you go, they've got loves and lives and they'll lose everyone they love and in their life, and they're going to go, their journey in life will be very similar to you. They'll go through ups and downs and at one point they'll lose everything. So, yeah, if you have the empathy for them, you realize that you will have felt all the emotions that they've felt. You know, like you will have been unreasonably angry and you will have cut someone off. You know,
Yeah.
you'll have done all those things that you're really angry at the other person for, and you'll have a similar experience in life.
So how does that help us? And it feeds really nicely into the, we get so offended these days and so easily offended, right?
Yeah.
Are our emotions more on the surface, do you think?
I think so, and I think people have been taught that offence actually hurts you when it doesn't have to. Like, just because you're offended doesn't really necessarily mean much. I mean, there's that basic Stoic principle that if someone says something that's not true, then how can you be offended? And if someone says something that is true, then that's information. On the purest level, and I know this is like a North Star to go for, and I get offended still. But like if someone said to me, I'm not trying to think of something, you've got poor eyesight and have to wear glasses. That wouldn't be an insult because it's true, and that's where you got it. So if it's true, you go, yeah, that's true. If someone gives you, sometimes we get feedback and take offence to it.
Yeah.
Like someone says something about, it's like someone might say something about a book, there's a lot of spelling errors or something. I could be offended by that, or I could go, that's true.
Yeah.
And if it's not true, then that's just nonsense.
Who cares what they said?
If someone says something outrageously insulting to you that's not true, then they're wrong.
Yeah.
They've made a fool of themselves, really. Yeah. The other thing I think with offence is, I think I wrote about in the book this when I was walking down K Road once, and this guy came out of a pub and took a swing at me and missed, and it hit a lamppost. And I was just walking down the road, and I used that example as I couldn't take offence at that because he was just swinging at anyone, and so much of social media is just the equivalent of a drunk guy walking out of a bar on K Road and taking a swing at you.
And hitting a lamppost.
You don't respect that person, but you're suddenly taking on their insult.
Yeah, yeah.
So I guess a combination of, if it's true, then take it on board. If it's not true, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And if you don't know much about the person, or do know a lot about the person, don't respect them, then those are all very good reasons not to be offended by what they say.
Exactly. So it's been quite a journey, and quite interesting. And there's not many, not many New Zealand good Kiwi blokes that kind of decide they're going to sit back and study some philosophy and go a bit deeper into the meaning of life and find some contentment. So where are you at now?
I think in writing the book, emotionally.
Well, in general, really, yeah. What did the book do? What did all of these experiences really?
I think, thank God, I've written the book, or else right now I'd be really anxious about the book coming out.
True.
So
done.
Yeah, and lots of things. Even on a really basic level, since I did that, I did this thing at the Comedy Fest on Friday. I did 10 minutes of comedy, just because I've been asked to do it.
Yeah.
And I thought, I've written in the book about facing your fears, so it would be ridiculous if I didn't. You know what I mean? So it's in a way, it's been something for me to live up to as well, because I think I make a good point. I don't make a good point. I make an effort to make the point. I don't know if I make the point a good point, but I make the effort to make the point that, there you go, I'm doing it again.
I know. I was just going to growl at you for that lack of swagger.
But it's not about, It's about a North Star, like an attempt. There's a concept of the Stoic sage, where it's this person that no one is, and no one lives their life up to these ideals, but you can constantly be reminding yourself to try to be there.
Yeah.
To attempt not to be offended, even though you might be. An attempt to face your fears so they don't grow. And any number of those things. Attempt not to blow up in anger when it happens, and be more successful than you were beforehand.
Yeah. Are you more content than you were as the guy whinging and drunk sitting by the lake?
So much more.
Now? Yeah.
So much more content. Yeah. I mean, it's further from my mother passing, which might, there's who knows what.
Yeah.
But I think I definitely have. I just didn't know a lot of the stuff. As I said before, I just thought when you felt like something, you just felt like that until it dissipated. It was sort of like weather.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then to realise that you can actually just decide, I'm not going to spend this whole day stressed.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a break here. And, I'm not running around in circles like an idiot, getting more and more stressed when I'm not going any further. And you go, I'm so stressed, I've got so much on. You start walking around saying that, there's too much to do.
Yeah.
I've got so much on. And then you're just spinning your wheels. And you don't have to do that. You can just, there's this really simple example that that someone I interviewed in the book talks about, whose name's jumped out of my head right now. but just even making yourself a cup of coffee, or better, making a coffee for someone else is enough of a win that your brain goes, oh, we're winning now. We're not losing. We're not things aren't out of control. We're winning. Because your brain doesn't know the difference between you making your primitive party brain doesn't know the difference between you successfully making a coffee and successfully finishing a book. It's just a win for it. So give it a win, and it goes, we're in winning ways now, so I'll lower the stress levels. I'll stop catastrophizing. I'll stop sending panic messages from the lizard part of my brain.
So you got another book on you? Should we see how the next few months go?
Let's see how this one sells, eh?
Let's
I'll be happy with one. I'd be happy just to do that one book, I think.
Well, what I would say to anyone listening is do go and read it. And, you give a personal perspective, but there is a lot of the deep philosophy. There is some amazingly interesting people that you speak to and you interview for the book. And so it's got a wonderful combination. And I think that it's also for different ages. And I think it would also really respond well to men and women. And sometimes I think books can be quite gendered from the perspective. And this one certainly isn't. So congratulations.
Oh, thank you so much.
Now, I'm only being nice because you now get to ask me something. And so you've been, go on then.
I've got a question for you, and it's actually more of one that I've been thinking about a lot, but it's from your world. And I was trying to formulate it when I was coming down here today. But it's essentially, are we making it too horrible for people to be in politics and not making the rewards enough to get the best people into politics? Like, from your experience, from what you went through, you talk about the highs and the lows and the tweet that made you eat yourself alive, and then some humiliation about, like feeling upset about some tipping stuff, and that's way down the bottom of your stuff. They're just a couple of things when our lows intersected. But do we need to just start respecting politicians more, and as a result we will get politicians that deserve respect? Or are we creating the situation we have by the endless of ripping them new ones on the smallest things that don't even frickin' matter?
Yeah. I mean, I don't recommend that people go into politics.
That was the simple question.
Which is a way to answer it in some respects, right? Because, but then I also sit there and I see the calibre of who is there from multiple parties, by the way. So I'm not, and I just think, wow, we're really lucky that really smart, good people are still stepping up.
Yes.
And they are, and they still do. So there is still a drive, I suppose, for public service. There is still a drive to be, and like they will tell you that the 120, whatever it is, MPs that are there are all there for the same thing, and there probably is a common denominator in that they want to make a difference. But then there will be other reasons as well. So there's some that will just enjoy the spotlight. There are some that are looking for the power. There are others that, are humbled. And so they're not one group of people. But are we making it harder, and does it mean it? Absolutely. And just some of the small stuff, you just sort of, my mate, this week, he sped 5 years ago. And with all respect, it's almost front page. Mind you, New Zealanders didn't give a damn. Well, from what I saw.
Yeah, but I guess, and also the other thing is, like, if we all want the best outcomes for our country, do we want to be constantly derailing the people that have got quite a lot to do with stuff that we know doesn't matter? So they spend their time embroiled in stuff. Generally, we know what they stand for, but we're trying to trip them up all the time on the little things. And there's a base idea that politicians now are to be disrespected almost. So it's
ridiculed and
disrespected and pulled down.
I never did get that. The pull down thing. It was just like,
want to celebrate people for doing public service. If they get it wrong or right, at least celebrate them for doing something for their nation.
Well, Carmel Sepuloni and I were political rivals, going for the same seat, close race, So when you're in there, you're in a bit of combat, you're going head to head. It's like sport, really, and that. But when she became, a senior minister in the Ministry of Social Development, I can tell you that every ounce of me wished her well, because that would be better for the people of New Zealand. If she did a good job, you know what I mean? And she accomplished some of what she wanted to and that sort of thing, then the people in New Zealand would be better off.
Yeah, and people think think they're doing the right thing, whether if you think they don't. Like, I don't think there's a lot of evil people out there. No, people aren't doing what they're doing to try and destroy you. They're doing it because they think that they've got a different idea of the path.
But as you asked the question, I did my classic thing was keep leaping in my head to the answer. And when you were sort of saying, is it too hard and are we too hard on them? In my head, and you went there, was, but do they deserve, some of them deserve it?
Yeah.
And then you posed the question of,
I'm on both sides of it. That's why I ask. Because you want the toughest people to be there and you want them to be challenged.
And then you see some of the stupid things that have been done in the last 12 months, let's not even pick on anyone, and you just go, God, and then you want us to respect you.
It's a tough one.
It's a tough one, eh?
Well, that's why I say if we sort of had, and like this is just pie in the sky stuff, an idea again where public service is something to be respected, then maybe people wouldn't make as many stupid mistakes because it would be about doing the right thing for the right reasons, not just to get re-elected. Because, that's the hardest thing. In New Zealand, we've got 3-year cycles. So, so there isn't much time. Once you've been in about 3 scandals, it's over.
Well, I'm probably going too far now, but, I recently took on the role of chair of Pharmac and, out came the jobs for the boys and she's only got that because of this and that and she's, on the pig's back and all the rest of it. And I can tell you, A, it doesn't pay that well, and B, there would have been a damn sight easier jobs I could have done than actually trying to provide medicines for people that are literally dying in this country and improve that. I could have gone and done a pretty cushy job and have got paid the same and had less scrutiny, but it was genuinely for me about public service, a particular set of skills and talent, and would like to give back. And so, I suppose if you're coming at it from that perspective, one hopes that just sort of plays itself out.
And it's very, but that's the thing, it's very easy to not know anything now, particularly to just cut through and say, because she's been given the job because of blah, 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 without knowing the rest of it. And it doesn't matter. And the person that's fired that out, they didn't think about it for 10 seconds. They put it out there because they're on that side of the political spectrum, throw it out there, then move on with their day.
But like you were saying earlier, Matt, with that one, I just went, well, that's not true. So I haven't given it any thought. What I mean? It's like I just laughed at that because it was like, well, I know it's not true. So
Well, if everyone gets some philosophy, then it doesn't matter what people do. If you know you're doing the right thing, if you know you're doing it in politics for the right reason, someone says you're not, then they're wrong. They're just saying something that's not true, so let them go. And
she shall never be perfect. So.
Exactly.
That's the way it goes as well. Okay, Matt Heath, thank you for joining me today. Matt's book, A Life Less Punishing, is out this week, and you can catch him on Hauraki Breakfast as part of the ACC commentary team. Where else can they find you? Pretty much anywhere, eh?
A few other places, I'm just trying to think.
Everyone's just so easy to find these days, aren't they?
On this podcast.
Yeah, go and get your children to watch some things and do everything. That's it for another episode of Ask Me Anything. You can get in touch with me by emailing askpaula@nzherald.co.nz. Feel free to send me through your questions for the podcast and any thoughts you have. I've been getting some amazing feedback. Thank you. Find me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Make sure you follow Ask Me Anything on iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Paula Bennett. Ask Me Anything. Goodbye.